thought I would bring the camera out and talk to it for a little while I work on my jointer here. I have taken the infeed table off, as you can see over there, and I've put it on my table saw workbench, as you can see right here. And what I've done is I've taken the steel top off, and I went out to my shed because I was thinking about changing the steel for the aluminum that I have out there. The aluminum is flat, but I can't say for certain that it's flatter than the steel that I have. I'm limited by the tools that I have for accurate measurements here. You know, basically have this framing square, and I've got my my drywall T-square here, which is pretty straight, you know. But the jointer, because I used it for the first time this morning, and I might insert a little bit of a clip here, but I used it for the first time this morning, and it is cutting, it is working well, but it's not producing accurate results. First of all, it's producing a surface that is not perfectly straight, as in it's kind of cupped in the middle downwards, so kind of bowed like that. And it's cutting more on one side than the other. And that's a table alignment issue that I still have to nail down. But it starts with the basics, which I'm doing right here. And when I put this together, when I started building this, I can't say I half-assed it, but I didn't put the effort into it that I really should have to ensure that I had perfect results. And I don't know, part of this is to show exactly how much work is involved in something like this. Part of the problem with making videos on YouTube is that you have to trim out all the stuff that comes before and during and after, actually, after you have the machine done. You spend a little bit of time tweaking it after that, and that might amount to the same amount of time it took to build the machine to begin with. You know, it depends upon what what you want from it. But you can't put all that stuff in a video because people won't watch it. You know, people are not interested in for the most part. There are some people that are interested, but for the most part, people are not interested in the road to the end. They're interested in the end. They want to see a nice, neat package of the machine being built, and show all this. And you know, if you throw in the odd little mistake or something, they think that they're being included in that, but that's not really it. I mean, there's a lot that goes on when you do something like this that you simply can't show. Like what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to make this infeed table. This is not the infeed, this is the outfeed. Why do I keep calling it infeed? Outfeed table, the plywood that I made this on, I want to make that perfectly flat. Because, and I knew this from the beginning, I knew it wasn't perfectly flat, but I thought I could shim the steel. I thought that the steel would be flat enough so that I could shim that and it would compensate for this. But if I hold my square over here, I can see that it is touching all the way across within reason. That's all I'm looking for, is within reason. But as I slide it across, I can see that it's actually lifted up on that end down there, you know, where the L is. When I push it down up here, that means there's a hump in this area, and it starts about here and it moves across, and it gets worse, like the worst, around here. So what I've been doing is I've been shaving it down with my scraper here to try to flatten it out. That's all it's going to take, basically, that and some sanding, I think, to do that, because it's not very much. When you hold the square there, it lifts up on the other end maybe a 64th of an inch, but that's keeping it from being perfectly flat. I'm also measuring across as I go too. So this takes a lot of time. This is what I'm getting to. You know, I already spent hours trying to flatten the steel that was on here. And the mistake I made with the steel was I cut it from, I get it here, hang on, hold on. Trying to lift this up with one hand, and it's slippery because it's got that urethane on there. I cut it from the rolled edge, I guess, that was just sheared off while it was still hot. So there's a heavy, you know, deformation right here. And I should have known that. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have moved in and got a cleaner piece from the middle here. So I'm gonna put this back down without cutting my toes off. I've got another piece. This is the piece I have left, and I'm gonna cut a new one from in here. Now, the infeed table, which you see right here, is not like that. I used the next piece over, so that was completely clean of that stuff that deforms the edge. You can see a bit more of it right here. See this right here? And it's not straight. And that's the part that I have to avoid when I cut this piece out of here. So what I'm trying to say here with this is that if you're going to start building something like this that has to have a higher amount of precision in the end, you have to start off with the fundamentals. You have to pay attention when you start building it. I had the right idea here with the straight pieces that go through for the frame, and I made them exactly the same width. And my thinking was that I can reference off that. The top of those will be the reference for the cutter head. There'll be the reference for the tables. The only problem is when I put them together, and I think I'm going to have to take it apart again because they're not glued. I didn't glue it. Like the braces in between are not glued. The braces that I put in there might not have been perfectly square cut. And what that does is it kind of creates a parallelogram type shape, because what I have happening here now is I have this side, this one down here, higher than this side over here, just by a very small amount. And I have the adjustability in these tables with these screws here you see on the side, but it would be better if that wasn't the case. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. Start at the beginning with the accuracy built in. It's like building a house, okay? You're going to build a house, you have to start with the footings. You dig the hole and you put the footings in. Now, if the footings are crooked and they're up and down all over the place, it just makes it harder for everything that comes after. So this is the foundation of the machine right here, this frame. And I rushed it. I have to say, I rushed it. And now I'm paying for it because I'm going to have to redo some parts of it. All right, you might be saying, well, why are you working on the outfeed table if you've got to take that apart? Well, I'm going to work on the outfeed table here to try to flatten that. And then I'm going to put it back on the frame as it is. And I'm going to see if it gives me what I'm looking for. Like I keep saying about this project, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to produce results that I can count on. And the only way for that to happen is to have a level of accuracy that I simply don't have right now. And if I can reach it without tearing the frame apart, I'll do that. I had one interesting comment. Someone asked me, can't recall what video it was on. I think it was on the one on this channel where I talked about why I haven't finished this thing yet, about using glass on the surface. And I'm tempted, actually. The only problem with glass is how brittle it is. Obviously, really can't beat it for flatness as far as something right out of the box is concerned. I haven't seen a piece of glass, not modern glass anyway, the float stuff that floats on a river of nickel, actually. I've never seen a piece of that that's actually not flat, or apparently 100% flat. So it would be an interesting choice, and then I could put, you know, stuff underneath there so you can see through, maybe pictures of some things, you know. Who knows? I could put stuff in there, but it would be a perfectly flat surface. The only thing is how to fasten it. You'd have to glue it. The problem with gluing anything to a plywood substrate, even though this is particle board, and the reason why I use particle board is because it's a heck of a lot flatter than plywood is, believe me. The problem with gluing anything down to plywood like this, you really have to do the same on the underside. You have to create a sandwich of the same material. Otherwise, you're going to end up with it, it's going to bend because it will absorb moisture more on the open side, even if it's finished in some way, like with a couple of coats of polyurethane. It'll still absorb more moisture on that other side than the side with the impermeable, and, you know, steel or aluminum or glass would certainly qualify as that. They are a super effective vapor barrier, moisture barrier. So you basically have to do the same on the other side to equalize that. The other thing is like a bimetal bar effect, where you have unequal expansion and contraction of the material with the temperature. Steel expands at a different rate and amount than wood does with temperature. So that could make it flex or distort. So really need to do whatever you do on top, you have to do it on the bottom to ensure accuracy if you do that, if you glue it down. By screwing it, the screws won't hold it tight enough for that to happen. All right, I think I'm there with the outfeed. I've done a combination of scraping and sanding, and I'll try to put a camera here and talk to you at the same time. You can see that I've actually gone through the veneer here in this place right here. And that's where the hump was. When I hold the square on there, it's touching all the way from front to back. And when I go across like this, I'm getting good results. And side to side, the whole thing looks good. But like I say, I'm limited to what I can use to measure this with, just to these, well, the point is you can get this close enough that it will have the kind of accuracy that I'm happy with these tools. So I think I'm good there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to recut the steel, put that on there, put it back on the machine, line everything up, and see how it works then. I'm already fairly happy with the infeed table as it is. It may need a little bit of work, but nowhere near as much as this. And when you're jointing something, it's really the outfeed table and the flatness and straightness of that determines how flat the piece that you're planing turns out. Because the idea is that you'll support it on the infeed table to start the cut, and then you'll press it down flat against or tight against the outfeed and guide it through the cut that way. You keep it down tight against that. That is the final surface that you're looking to guide the work as it goes through. And if that's not flat or even close to it, then that's the result that you're going to get.